an opportunity to teach a method you've learned. To go off and do some CE, and because there's no way to learn something any better than teaching it, so to give you an opportunity to come back and teach something that you've learned so that you relearn it as you teach it, to apply what you've learned in the textbook, that's training. And of course, one of the things I love to do in group supervision is role play, and to observe interventions done in role play, and to be in the role play and do interventions and get the feedback from the group. Those are really cool things. And you know, I was just signing a contract for LPC supervision the other day, and I found that I wanted to go back to the laws and regulations to be sure exactly what I could do. And I was looking it up, again, refreshing. And I found out something I didn't know, that dyadic supervision is counted as individual supervision. Isn't that interesting? So if I bring two of you in and work with you in role play and work with you as you interact, it's individual. I didn't know that. I thought individual had to be one, but individual can one or two, and more than two is group. And that's in the rules. Surprised me. Okay, so now what about training is in developing discipline about your paperwork? Getting all that right and in order. If somebody's going to be helping you with, if somebody is going to be helping you with countertransference, with burnout, with compassion fatigue, if somebody's going to be recognizing and appreciating your clinical skills, somebody is going to give you a sense of staying, that it's okay for you to be in this job even when you feel incompetent, and encourage you to keep learning. Is that the same person who decides whether or not you get a raise, or what the evaluation of your job is going to be this week, whether or not you're came on time to work, and where you're supposed, what your schedule is supposed to be? Do you see any conflicts in that? I mean, you know, they tell us all the time that we're not allowed to have, they, as in the field, we have agreed, actually, the field is, the board is made up of agreements of counselors across the world. And we have agreed that it's unethical to be a counselor to somebody who you have an evaluative relationship with. So if I'm teaching the class, I can't take one of those students and have them as my private client. So if I am in management and I have an evaluative relationship with you, and yet I'm supposed to have a relationship with you in which we can struggle through your countertransference, isn't that a little tight? And doesn't that end up costing us? Can you really trust the person that's evaluating you to tell them, I'm on the edge of burnout and I'm not sure I should be coming to work like this? So that's your job as you go into the field. You know, you can change it because we're going to have more and more resources. I really do believe that, because we watch the resources in our mental health world shrink. We watch them shrink and shrink and shrink. And it's time for there's going to be a rebound, and they're going to grow because already I'm going to get into the politics of this thing, but already the biggest provider of mental health services in the nation. Who is the biggest provider of mental health services in the nation? The prison system, Department of Corrections. So there's something wrong with that picture. You know, there's something wrong with that picture as far as I know. So there's some changes that need to be made. We need to break loose the resources, and we need to learn how to take care of each other as counselors. So we got a ways to go. In the meantime, I'm going to give you some tips about how to get a top quality supervisor, because you know, if you get to choose your supervisor, contract with somebody and say, I want you to be my supervisor, and I'm willing, to pay the price, because it's not cheap or free. It's not free. Sometimes it's cheap, and anyway. But you get to, if you get to choose your supervisor and you're going to pay them, they're going to be working for you, then you should need to know what it is that you need from them. And sometimes when you get a job, the supervisor comes with the job. And so then it's a question of how to protect yourself and how to help yourself. from your supervisor, whether or not they're top quality. So, high quality supervision is like high quality parenthood. We all wish we had it. You know, we all, as supervisors, wish that we were the very best ever. Unfortunately, children are parented by human beings and not by angels, and counselors are developed by stumbling, bumbling, half-blind human beings, and not by angelic beings who come into being supervisors. We fail every day, we mess up while you mess up, and we're all just human, we're all half-blind, and we're all walking around bumping into each other, wondering how to get through the next piece, and that's called management by stumbling around, right? And muddling through. But that is the human existence. Somebody told me the other day that life is a violin concert where you learn the instrument on stage. That's kind of, if you've ever heard a violin being played by somebody that doesn't know how to play, it's kind of sad, but I'm afraid it's true. So you learn it while you're doing it. So, you know, we're just living and we're just trying our best. You're not going to have the perfect supervisor. And when I was in grad school and we were out getting supervision, we were in our interns. That's one of the things we love to complain about is how bad our supervision was, and you know, and what we wish we had in a supervisor, and who has a better supervisor. And it makes me think of how we complain about our parents when we're younger, because you don't ever get the ideal one. You just get what you get, and you take advantage of it the best you can. So if the supervisor comes with the job, I want you to, I have some tips for you. Keep your expectations in line with reality. They have a job to do too, and they're not going to always be available, and when you need them, they're not going to be there, and you're going to have some other way of getting your needs met. So keep your expectations in line with reality. Know what you need, and you might want to know that in advance. And then you're going to need to assertively and professionally ask for what you need, not whining, you know, not complaining or criticizing, but in an assertive and professional way. Say, I need some more of this. Can you help me figure out how we can get this in my life or in my work? Develop a plan for getting what you need somewhere else. And it may not be at work at all. You may get a clinical supervisor who will sign the bottom line, but you may get your real clinical supervision from your mentors in the field that really support you and help you. Sometimes that's just the way it is, and I want you to keep your expectations in line with reality in your first jobs. And develop acceptance, patience, and tolerance, and the ability to be kind even when it's not earned. And if you develop that, then that's very, very good for you to use as a tool. And so every one of these experiences that present themselves in front of you can be used as learning tools. Every experience can be used as a learning tool if you're willing to develop acceptance, patience, tolerance, and the ability to be kind when it's not earned. So that's what I'm advising you. Now, I have a handout, and like I said, I'm going to give my cards out, so if you want this and you don't have it, I had it when I had the administrative assistant this morning make these copies. I said, please save that to the shared file so that I can send it out as a PDF. This is what I have done recently in my effort of continuous improvement. I have given my supervisees this assessment tool to assess me. And then I had my administrative assistant do an item analysis so that I know exactly what they're telling me about what needs to be changed. And when I gave it to them and put it in their boxes, I said, please don't be kind. Just be truthful, because this is a part of the process of continuous improvement. Now, that is an assessment of your supervisor, and that's what that's for. But what I want you to do with it is to get the right thing there. I think okay, you got what you need. Okay, I was like a little confused about what came out. Okay, what I want you to do is to start looking at those, and if you have a supervisor, it might be a useful way to evaluate them. But what I really want you to do is to go through there, instead of rating your supervisor on this tools. Rate what you need. How important is this item to you? So you can rate that on the same scale from 0 to whatever it says. Rate how important this item is to you. And then you'll develop a list of things that you know that you need to ask for. And when you find out that those things are missing, then you can either find them in your work or you can get them outside of work. So I'm suggesting that you use that as a way to assess your own needs. And then later, you will use it to assess your supervisor's competence as they're working with you. Does that make sense? Please, that's the next thing on the list. Questions and answers until Yana says it's time. So I'm here and I want to hear. Now, your name is Robin? Yes. And what was your question?
The title. That we use this tool to rate our supervisor and we find that
It's okay, willing to let them
below par. What would be the next step?
Okay, did everybody understand Robin's question? Let me say it aloud again. In the event we use this to evaluate a supervisor and find that our supervisor is really incompetent, then what do you do next?
Does all that overlay?
Does anybody have any ideas about that?
You're fine, and I'll let you know.
Well, I don't really know. I hope that nobody ever says I'm incompetent. But I think that I would want to go to the specifics that I need to ask him for or her for, and make really carefully think that through and ask for 2 or 3 improvements in this specific way. Not everything, not total, but these are what I need. How can you help me get these things I need? And then see how that goes, and then ask for some more and see how that goes. And because being not quite up to par is not the same as being unethical or unable to do the job, because your expectations have to be kept reasonable. So, but ask for what you need, assertively and professionally. You're going to want to ask for what you need. Okay, anything, I want more questions, I'm happy to answer them. Yes, dear?
Are you suggesting managers should not come from a counseling mental health background?
Oh, I think, just as an opinion, I think counseling managers should have some experience in the field. I have worked with people who don't have, as managers who don't have, in fact, I'm working with that right now. My manager, I run the counseling center. I'm the only one in town that knows anything about, not in town, but in our little campus community. I'm the only one, other than the people that work for me now. For many years, it was just me. Anyway, and I keep saying, my boss has no idea what I do for a living. When you tell me you want me, I'm going to gripe a minute, but if you tell me you want me at staff meeting on Wednesday morning, if you call a staff meeting, so I'm just put to keep my calendar open just in case you do, and I don't have enough space for students anyway. You don't know what I do for a living. You can't call me an hour before a meeting and say, come over here, because I have clients who've been waiting a week to see me, and so if your boss doesn't understand what you do, then there's a lot of education to do, but they're too busy to listen. So you just have to, kind of muddle around and get through it. So yeah, I think that ideally I'd like managers to know the business and to know what we do for a living in that room, But I also don't want them to be, I would like a system, and it was a luxury in the past, and you got it in really fine institutions, and you'll hardly ever see it anymore, where there is a person who is dedicated to clinical supervision, and that's not the manager of the organization. I think that would be our ideal situation, and you don't really very often get that. What do you think about it?
I think it's, you have to have very well defined roles, and I think it would be foolish to have a manager who doesn't have a mental health background.
Right.
I also don't know that it's necessarily a conflict of interest. I would disagree respectfully with you on that. I don't think it's an ethical issue to be both manager and clinical supervisor. I think it requires good roles and boundaries and very clear guidelines.
It does, and I have to agree that it can't be an ethical violation, because that's what I do, every day. I manage that, but I really would love to see us move in a position where we were able to be freer with our clinical supervisor and have that kind of sense of trust without having to run up against this management problem.
I think that's a problem in the system if you only have one supervisor.
Mhm.
Like in our unit, you can get supervision from 8 people.
Right.
So there is never that conflict where you can only go to one person.
Right,
And
there's
that
only
is the
one
only
person.
person who
Yeah.
will, and I think that's where you run into that ethical
Yeah.
conundrum. For
Yeah.
us, we have multiple people who can do
Right.
that supervision. So
Yeah, if the only person
there's always
in the
someone
center,
there.
yeah, the only person in the agency that has the S behind their LPC is, there's only one, and that's also the manager.
Right.
That it gets difficult. It's not impossible, but there are better working conditions for that, for both for supervisors and counselors. So what I'm asking you to do is not, I mean, I'm asking you to change the world, actually, but I'm asking you in the meantime to protect yourselves, to know and to keep in mind what supervision is and how that's different from management, and get your needs met while you take care of yourself in the setting. Because I'm doing a lot of supervision with folks who are out in mental health settings that are really, really difficult places to work. And some of you know some things about those settings. And so, you know, if you're gonna go out there and do this very heart-rending job, then this job that requires a great deal of you, you need to be working towards making sure that your needs are met as well. And they may not be met by your manager / supervisor. So I just want to get you aware of that as you're going in to develop your skills. Other questions or talkback? I'd love the discussions.
I'm just thinking, because I had talked with someone not long ago, and he said for him that was the best thing, was supervision. That was one of his comments to me. You get good supervision and you get what you pay for. So, like, because you mentioned something about, what you need, and if you need to go somewhere else to get what you need. So like, if you get a supervisor where you're working, like they're there, you have a manager / supervisor. Is there anything wrong with having 2 supervisors? I mean, you pay someone to do supervision, or can you say, I know it's being provided, but I have someone.
Yeah, a lot of people do have it in both ways, and it is possible. You have to, you know, who's gonna sign your paper? And does your manager support this other person signing off on your paper? And, you know, because you've got to have this, you know, you've got to have a contract on line with the board. And so that's gonna be a negotiation thing that you do with your supervisor. And this person be my actual supervisor with the board, and I will gather all the information I can from you and work with you. But I really would like to stay with my supervisor that I chose, or, you know, do the shopping and come back and say, I know what I need personally, and, it's not the same as what's provided, and if it's okay with you, I'd like that person to sign on. And I think there's some kinds of negotiation where the work supervisor who needs to sign off for whatever reasons, that they could be the sign-off person, and as long as they know that you're getting, that you're also consulting outside. So you have to be transparent too, and not have a conflict of interest there. You can't come into your manager and say, my real clinical supervisor told me I should never do what you told me to do yesterday. I mean, you have to be wise enough to work on it, right?
That's what I was gonna ask you today, how receptive are they to it? So like your management, that's what you're saying. How receptive are they? Is it like?
I think it's pretty free in that way. I mean, you know, like if you want to pay for it, then right,